Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Voices of the Vic podcast with myself this evening, Joe Thomas, and I'm also joined by Cameron Smart. We're here to have a chat about the 2-1 defeat to Burnley and also the 1-0 defeat to Portsmouth. A bit of a troubling Easter period for the Hornets, and we're also going to talk a little bit about Tom Cleverley and his potential managerial spell coming to an end. But first of all, Cam, obviously I saw you on Monday at Fratton Park. Another tough afternoon for us, but how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Today's actually a monumental day for me, having sort of finished my dissertation now, which I'm sure you're going to have a lovely read of that later, aren't you, Joe? And
I actually am, mate. I've started I've read the first page and a half so far. I can't say it's properly gone in, but I'm going to read that again and then read the rest of it. But from what I read so far, it seemed like a good start.
Every couple of minutes, my sister's sending me a correction that I need to make. So I'll take that on the chin. But yeah, I'm all good. Obviously, disappointing day on the south coast. That was 2 days ago now. Wow. But we're used to disappointing days, aren't we? And losing away from home is nothing new to us. It was nice to go and tick off a new ground, and Fratton Park, it doesn't really get talked about the way sort of Luton gets talked about, in that it's just it's a really unique ground. I thought there's sort of a Tudor look to the away entrance, and it's got the open top concourse as well, and yeah, it's very, very unique. So I'm glad to have finally ticked that one off, but God, that was a drab game of football, wasn't it?
It was. It was another tough afternoon of football, like you say, and Fratton Park. I mean, for me, obviously living down here as well, I've been to a few Portsmouth games at Fratton Park, watching them, and they're a good side, and the fans are great. They create a special atmosphere, don't they? And they make it hard for opposition teams coming, because obviously everything's so close to the pitch, isn't it? And you're kind of on top of the game. It's like you say, it's a unique ground, and the way we've been, I wasn't shocked really by that result at the end.
I mean, it only took taking one look at the lineup that we put out, and you could see what was going to come. But also, Portsmouth you mentioned the atmosphere. They were right up for that, weren't they? And you sort of knew they would be, because obviously that was the game that, if they won it, which they did, could confirm their survival, which obviously that's huge for them. So you sort of knew that a Watford team with nothing to play for versus a Portsmouth team that already have a good home record, but they're going to be even more spurred on by the chance to stay in the league. You could just see where it was going to end up going before the game had even kicked off.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of said although I was giving it out to a lot of my friends who down here are Portsmouth fans, deep down I kind of knew that it was only going to end one way for Watford, especially like you say, with the team that we were putting out. We were missing 4 players that would normally play in our first team, and like say the team that we put out. I mean, Tom Ince, dear oh dear. Yeah. It was bleak from the outset, wasn't it? But just briefly, just talking about Friday's game. Obviously, Burnley at home. It was a game again. Probably wasn't expecting too much from it. Dumbia obviously scored early on. Superb goal, wasn't it? I mean, it was a fantastic cross from Rocco Vata, and Dumbia with a super header, wasn't it, into the far corner.
Yeah, and isn't it great that he's starting to get himself goals regularly now? You felt the one thing sort of missing from his season since he'd come in. He looked absolutely fantastic as a striker that can, run the channels, hold the ball up, take on his man, create chances for himself, and get on the end of crosses as well. We've seen him do that a few times, but just putting the ball in the net, that's what we needed to see from him. And he got his first, obviously, at Bristol City, and that was a fantastic goal for a proper striker's goal. That, and I dread to think what Bio would have done in that situation. But then, he's followed it up with a lovely headed goal as well. So a bit of variety there from him. And yeah, I'm just buzzing to see that. Dumbia looks every bit a good Championship striker, and he's only played about less than 15 games of football, it must be. So yeah, but buzzing for him. And I thought we were more than value for something in that first half. We definitely should have gone in more than 1-1, which was really frustrating. But yeah, we just couldn't put the ball in the net, could we? And it's kind of the story of our season lately, that we dominate halves against teams that are much better than us, but we just can't punish them. We just don't have the quality out there. So yeah, really, really frustrating half. But I'm buzzing to see a proper striker at Watford finally.
Yeah, I think, the fact that he's got those assists that he got before he scored his first goal, the fact that he's got, I think, such a good physical presence up front, and he causes defenders problems. He's good aerially. He's good with the ball at his feet. I think, I like the fact that, he's got the ability to take the ball past players, the way he drifts with the ball as well at his feet. He's becoming kind of, as the season, as you say, has gone on, a good all-round player. So yeah, it will be really interesting to see kind of what he does like next season. But yeah, as you said, it was really...
It just takes the pressure off a little bit as well, doesn't it? That, look, we know we've got this striker that can do a really good job for us. And now, whatever other striker we get, we're not pinning our hopes on them. Like we have been with, when we brought in Jebison, when we brought in Rajovic, when we brought in Josh King, Keenan Davis. They are the players that we're pinning our hopes on. They need to perform. Whereas now we've got Dumbia, who can perform and hopefully can keep scoring goals. And then whoever we bring in, that just needs to be someone sort of to supplement Dumbia, maybe be someone more experienced so that he can learn off them. And you know what I think? I really think we'll, maybe 3 years later than we should have, I think we'll end up bringing in Kiefer Moore from Sheffield United. I don't think they'll find any value in him when they get promoted. And yeah, they'll ship him back out to the Championship, and we'll be the ones that take him. And yeah, it'll be a move like that. Someone proper experienced at the level with a bit of quality about them. Someone like that Dumbia needs to learn off. And we've got a good strike force there.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah, I mean, he could potentially, I don't know, I feel like there's better clubs in the Championship. I could see him just ending up at somewhere like West Brom, because obviously Armstrong's leave on loan from being on loan there. Just seems like the sort of perfect fit for a player like him. But yeah, as you said before, it was really frustrating the first half, because we were good value, I think, for a lead going in there. And obviously Kayembe had that shot from distance which Trafford made the worldie save from. Obviously Schmidt made the save on Monday from Loser. I just feel that it's a really weird occurrence that both players from I think Loser was just slightly further out than Kayembe, but it was the same shot, the same area of the goal, the same save, and the same area of the crossbar that both players hit. I mean, it's just, I don't think I've ever seen that. We could have had goals of the season in 2 games. And
then you factor in the one from the whole game as well. In the first couple of minutes, Kayembe again hitting the woodwork.
Yeah, that's true.
Becoming a big theme at this point.
Yeah, we're just not getting that luck, are we? I said to the chap that was standing behind me on Monday, I said, I think our luck ran out when we beat Portsmouth on Boxing Day. Obviously, we had a run of lucky games, didn't we, at home?
Yeah,
where we'd snuck results. We'd got penalties that maybe we wouldn't have got normally. Not to say they weren't, because I do think every penalty that's been given has been a penalty for us this season. I don't think
except that Portsmouth one that was outside the box. But
yeah.
The amount of times Bar gets fouled in the box and nothing gets given, I mean, we were due one like that, so I think that's fair.
Yeah. I think it was definitely outside the box that one, but yeah, like you say, we have missed out on a couple as well. But obviously going into the second half, I thought we started a little slower than what we did in the first half, but that was probably only to be expected. A team like Burnley were obviously going to come out and turn a screw on us and make things hard. They got the goal. I'll be completely honest, I don't actually know who got the winner because everything kind of kicked off and I was too busy being annoyed at what was going on. So I didn't really pay attention.
It was Josh Brownhill, believe it or not. He's one of. I feel like he scores every time we play Burnley, but if you have a look, he probably has only scored 2 or 3, maybe.
Yeah, Brownhill. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it was a decent-ish ball across the box. It's hard to say that Ngakia was weak because I think he's a small guy. I think he was just overpowered. I don't, in my opinion, I've seen it a couple of times. I don't know your thoughts. I don't think it was a foul. You may disagree.
No, I think if you're giving that as a foul, then everything's got to be a foul. I will say, yeah, look, Ngakia, he's not the strongest guy, but the issue comes from him misjudging the flight of the ball, and he doesn't get under it. If he does, he can head it clear, no problem. But yeah, just misjudges it a little bit. But I want to highlight someone who isn't directly at fault for the goal here, but it just really pissed me off to see this, to be honest. Moussa Sissoko, edge of the box. He's got Burnley's left back, that Pires fella, making a run off him. And what does Moussa do? Just stood on the edge of our box, very, very ponderously. He's just looking round, and Burnley's left back just runs straight past him. And Moussa, he doesn't react at all. So he doesn't follow him or anything. He just stays planted on the edge of the box. No one anywhere near him. He's not picking anyone up. He's just let his man run in. And if that ball falls to him, then he's got a free shot at goal. And it's obviously not the first time Moussa's been guilty of stuff like that. He was directly at fault for Carl and Grant's goal the week before by doing exactly the same thing, just completely giving up on marking. And look, if I'm a player and my captain is doing stuff like that, just not putting in any effort, why on earth would I want to fight for this guy? Why on earth would this guy get me motivated for a game when, why should I fight for him when he's not willing to put in a shred of effort for me? So yeah, it's so frustrating to see that. I mean, once again, your captain is just way too lazy to help the team out. And yeah, I really, it's a shame because I can't wait to see the back of him. But we all know he's got another year on his deal. He's going to be here for another year. We're not going to sell him. We're going to keep him. And he's going to be the captain, and he's going to keep being lazy, and he's going to keep putting in no effort, and we're going to keep conceding goals because he's just shit at football and very lazy. So, yeah, it's honestly he embodies everything wrong with the club at the moment to me. So, yeah, just I can't wait to get rid of him.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with you, to be honest. I think he's just a frustrating player to watch. I think he had that sending off earlier in the season, and we said at the time it was awful, wasn't it? What he did then, and then he came back, and that Plymouth game, he almost, I think, within 25 minutes of that game, he was nearly sent off again for another stamp.
And he should have given away a penalty that game as well, but the ref luckily didn't see it. The foul he did against Blackburn, he got a retrospective ban for that, I think it was. And
it was, yeah, it was. Oh no, it was sent off on the during the game, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, the first game back, what did he do? Did he elbow someone or something, or headbutt someone? And
no, he stamped on.
Someone. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember it now. Yeah, and he should have been sent off for that. The guy's just a complete liability.
But yeah, I did say, I actually do stand by this, and this might be slightly controversial, and people may disagree, but I still think that he shouldn't have mouthed off at the referee. It wasn't a foul. He was the captain. I don't know what he said. Obviously, the captain is allowed to speak to the referee. He clearly said something that the referee didn't like, so he booked him. You're obviously on the referee's radar after that, so just keep yourself in check for at least 5 or 10 minutes. The game from that point just completely fell apart. The referee lost it, didn't he? I've not seen a ref lose control like that at Vicarage Road for a hell of a long time. I still think that, Fleming, wasn't it, that he pushed. I mean, obviously, he was provoked. I do think that, two players, they just have a little shove at each other. I think that you should just pull them together. Say, because he's the captain, just say, look, I've just booked you. Keep your cool, or I'm going to have to send you off. I don't think there was a need to just pull out a red card. There was nothing towards his face. It was a body push. It wasn't like he punched him or anything like that. It was just slightly more forceful, because Fleming, to be quite honest, I think he tried to do it a little bit harder, but because he's weak and Musa's a bit of a lump, it just looked like it was kind of like some feeble little push. I do think if Sissoko wasn't as big as what he was, if it was maybe Ngakia, I think Ngakia probably would have gone flying. But yeah, for me, it wasn't a red card. Kayembe's, however, after seeing it again, I do believe is a red card. He actually, if I'm being completely honest, was lucky actually not to get sent off a couple of minutes before that. I don't know if you remember, Cam, the tackle on the halfway line, where I said to you that Cleverley should have pulled him off at that point, because Kayembe clearly lost his head and he was just charging around the pitch, just wanting to take people out. But yeah, in the end, I do think one was a red, one wasn't. But we ended up down to 9 men. It was then just very tough, wasn't it? And he was just booking people left, right, and centre. I think Ian just pops in here saying the rest should have sent Bio off and done everyone a favour. To be fair, I think there was actually a tackle that he put in where he maybe should have got a red card.
Yeah,
and I think Loser as well was lucky not to be sent off as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. I'll get on to Bio and Loser in a moment, but Sissoko, look, he's obviously, we don't know what was said between him and the ref, but if the refs felt that he's mouthing off at him and deserves a yellow, then he probably deserved a yellow for it. Now, what Jan Fleming has seen there, he has seen a player that has completely lost his head. He's thrown his toys out the pram, and Jan Fleming has done what every player should do, and just gone and rolled him up, and he's pushed him, and Moose has retaliated. And yeah, it's smart play from Burnley. It's good shithousery, and it shows, where we lack the championship sort of smarts that you need. And yeah, Moose, look, I think it's deservedly a second yellow card there. Every time you push a player over, it's a yellow, but just for the sheer stupidity of it, he should have been sent off. And I'm glad he was, to be honest, because Portsmouth would have been a million times worse if I had to watch him drag himself around the pitch. The Kayembe one, again, really, really dumb, and it's what you come to expect from Kayembe. He's not the brightest, and yeah, he just elbows someone while he's on a yellow card. It's not clever, and he's been sent off for it deservedly. Now, do I think Edo should have been taken off before that? I mean, I'm always an advocate for getting Kayembe off the pitch as soon as possible, but to be fair, he was sort of the whole game. He was battering that Burnley goal while he was on the pitch. He was, having shot after shot, and obviously nearly scored quite a few. So when you're down to 10 and you've got a player like that can score out of nothing, I can see the reason in keeping him on. But yeah, really stupid from him. And Bio, when he came on, obviously he got booked. He then went and the ball was completely gone. He slid through someone, and he should have been sent off for it. And My word, have you ever heard the rookery just begging for our own player to be sent off like that? It's honestly, it's ridiculous. It's like, I don't blame anyone who's chanting against Bio. I mean, I was one of them, but like the fact that this is where we are, that the chant for our striker is if Bio scores, we're on the pitch. He's a striker. He's meant to score regularly, and we're so surprised when he scores that we're threatening a pitch invasion if he does. It's a sorry state of affairs that we're in at the moment,
It's
and
shocking, isn't it?
yeah, really shocking. And you know what? I wish he was sent off as well. And we were very, very unlucky that he wasn't. And then Loser, I forgot what his first yellow was for, but he seems to get booked every week now. And then he just made a completely off the ball challenge. The ref saw it and played advantage, but he didn't send him off, and he probably should. So yeah, I mean, the ref got a lot of stick, rightly so. He lost control of the game, but we were lucky to come away from that with 9 men on the pitch.
Yeah, I agree, and it's I think the boys did themselves proud in the end. I think, against
Definitely.
a team that was they're top of the league, they're now promoted. Just a quick mention on that. Actually, I don't know if you saw that on Friday. I do think there's going to be something that's going to come from that. There was some really, really ugly scenes after that game.
What was it?
So obviously, I think they were trying to keep the fans off the pitch. They've just been promoted. It's going to be hard. You want to come on and celebrate. And look,
yeah,
if fans are coming on and they want to celebrate, I've got nothing against that. I do think if you're going to come on and just go on and just be respectful. There was one fan that was going up to Hamza Chowdhury, and he had his phone on and he was being abusive and he was giving him stick. The Sky camera did cut it when they kind of were behind Chowdhury because he was getting quite ill-tempered. Then the stewards were trying to then cut off the fans because they were trying to get towards the Sheffield United players going down the tunnel, and then that erupted then. And then I don't know if you've seen a video for when they were trying to get on the coach as well, and all the Burnley fans tried to storm them on the coach and they were being abusive to them. It was just all a little bit unsavoury. And, I get you've just been promoted, emotions are high, but yeah, I mean, look, I have made no secret of the fact I hate Scott Parker.
I'm not keen.
I still hate Scott Parker. But yeah, I do not wish him well. They will get battered every week in the Premier League because that team is crap. And they will be coming straight back down. There's no way in hell they're staying up. But yeah, it was. It's a game I'm actually quite glad we've not got next year because I'm kind of bored of them. So yeah, good luck getting battered every week.
Well, I finally managed to tick off Turf Moor because
you did actually.
I'd booked to go 2 times before and it got postponed both times. So finally got to go there, and it's one I never want to go back to. I mean, I think I was telling you about this, or I was telling someone. It took me about 6 hours to get back because of train delays. So it's good that they're gone, but at the same time, remember that they're going to be back in a couple of years.
Of course, yeah. And James, that's a classic comment there from you. I like that. He probably is the person that does that, along with Cole Palmer. I don't know if you saw that. But yeah, just a few comments. Thanks ever so much, guys. Everyone who is tuning in. Ian's said Bio stands no chance of getting the start back at Udinese. Do you think he'll be with us next season? Just quick cap, yes or no?
Yep.
You do think he will?
I do think he'll be back, yeah.
Yeah, James has said, I hope not. Jess, thank you for tuning in as always. Come on, Cam, you love a bit of Sissoko and Kayembe. No, he definitely doesn't, Jess.
I'm not commenting on that.
Burnley players are, as well as their fans. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that comment. Scott Parker will be sacked after 5 games. He probably will be. That's probably not wrong. and Leeds may start, but Burnley and playoff win, no chance. Yeah, I actually said this earlier today to someone. I do think that Leeds out of the three, I think, will stay up because they've got the back in. There has been some rumours today, actually, hasn't there?
Yeah, they have. Yeah,
Daniel Farker.
I think that's a very clever thing to do.
Well, apparently it's only stemmed off the back of Gabby Agbonlahor making a comment during.
Oh, really? Oh.
He made a comment about Farker's record, obviously getting relegated twice, and people have seemed to have jumped on it. And then there was a big rumour mill that's gone around on Twitter. So at the moment, not true, but some people do think there is a little bit of truth in it that might look. But he had a low budget at Norwich when he went up, so
of course,
he's obviously going to get a lot more money now. So it could that could change.
Look, if they can get a better manager, go and get a better manager. That's what I say.
Well, yeah, they could get someone like Eric Ten Hag in, couldn't they?
I said a better manager.
But yeah, just quickly, then we'll just talk about the Portsmouth game as well. So yeah, Monday came. Obviously, we probably, like you say, weren't going to expect much. One thing that disappointed me was, I don't know if you felt this, Cam, as well, but did you see the substitution coming from Vatter being taken off when the red card happened? Because I know that he was a bit greedy just before that with that chance. He didn't really actually have anyone up with him. He kind of created that chance himself. I didn't actually have an issue with him shooting. Cleverley, obviously, from his comments after the game, he was very angry, wasn't he, after the game? Very angry. I don't think I've seen him sound as angry as what he did probably all season, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll talk a little bit the reasoning behind that maybe in a little bit, but I was very surprised by the substitution because for what it's worth, he was the only person for me that was actually creating anything. So to take that attacking threat out, even when we had 10 men, a lot of my friends down here, were very surprised with just how deep Portsmouth were still playing when we had 10 men, and actually felt quite nervous and thought that they were going to concede. So, there was probably still a chance that we could have countered them, maybe nicked a goal and got a draw. But yeah, what were your thoughts on that substitution?
Yeah, I mean, I was as shocked as anyone that you're taking Vatter off. I mean, he's always, when he's on the pitch, going to be our most likely player to score. Now, look, I don't think he's having the best of times in a Watford shirt at the moment, purely because he's basically our only attacking player, and he's got to do it all on his own. So we're asking a lot from him at the moment. But look, in a situation where you're down to 10 men, you're going to see strange substitutions. You're going to have to see the unorthodox, and you've got to judge this off actually how we played after that sub. And I think we did reasonably well. We had more than enough chances to get back in the game. There are a few from Tom Ince, a few from Deli Bashiru. We had a lot of good chances, and I didn't really feel too threatened by Portsmouth. They had a couple of chances after. So, yeah, I think we managed the game with 10 men really well. And I didn't get the feeling that we actually missed Vatter too much there. Now, one thing that has caught my eye about Tom Cleverley is when we go down to 10 men or even 9 men, it doesn't seem to affect us as much as it might other teams. Now, you'll remember the Norwich at home game. We played over a half with 10 men, and we were much better than them. We sort of committed everyone forward and rode our luck at the back, and we had so many chances to equalise, and it was all down to Tom Cleverley that we actually had a chance in that game. And obviously, take you back to Friday, the Burnley game. Even with 9 men, we were much, much better than Burnley. That's not an exaggeration. We were so much better than them, and we were desperately unlucky not to get an equaliser there as well. And then take you back to Monday against Portsmouth. We had 10 men for about half an hour, didn't concede, and had a fair number of chances that, on another day, one of them goes in and we're walking away with a point. So look, we haven't exactly profited from it yet, but it's an area of Tom Cleverley and his management that is something that's quite eye-catching to me, that he really knows how to manage those situations. And when we do have a red card, we're not completely out of the game. So yeah, I think there's credit to Tom there. And if he had better players at his disposal, then, you know, we might be looking at least, you know, 2 points gained over Easter rather than 0. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on it all.
Yeah, Tom Delibishiru, that chance he had where it was kind of just inside the box in the second half, where he had a clear sight of goal, was such a weak shot, wasn't it? I
Yeah,
expected
it really
so much
was. Yeah,
better.
but it felt like we cut through Portsmouth with so much ease there, and Tom Delly was in acres because we worked a really good move out to him. It didn't feel like we had 10 men at all.
No, and you know, I think the frustrating thing is you know, all I've heard all season from people down here is that Ogilvy is like Portsmouth's weak link, and you know, even at the week, even on Monday, I thought he was poor. You know, he was there for the taking.
But when your right winger's Tom Ince, then you're not going to do any taking, really.
I think you know, if Bar's fit, then Bar gives him a tough. Even if Chak's fit, then he's having a tough afternoon, isn't he?
Definitely.
So yeah, I think he got off lightly there. I think the fact that we've got injuries and things helped him out, and it gave him an easier afternoon. Let's talk about this comment. This will certainly be catching your eye, Cam.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw the moment that comment popped in, there was a smile on my face, really, because
I did see that. Yeah, I did see
yeah,
that. Desperate to talk about him and that shot.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, less said about that shot the better. But I don't think he looks up to it. I don't think Andrews is a championship player. He might become one day, but he's miles off that at the moment. He can't defend and he can't attack. Weirdly, you know, I see a lot of people say maybe Andrews is a winger, but I don't see why. I mean, yeah, he's got a good strike on him, but when has he ever taken on his man for all the pace that he's got? I mean, we played MK Dons earlier in the season, and they had that what is it, Dean Lewington at left back, and obviously 40 years old. Andrews didn't run at him once. He gave him the quietest day of his life. So yeah, look, if you've got a player that is that conservative as a right back, and they can't really defend either. And don't get me started on his crossing ability, because wow, I mean, he couldn't hit a barn door, to be honest with you. So yeah, he's not the one for me, really. I do think we should be looking to get a new right back in. And look, I don't know what Ryan Andrews' future is. He'll probably be here for a good while now, and you know, he might be a decent player for us when we end up in League One, but at the moment, he's not cutting it for me.
I mean, who would you rather, Ryan Andrews, an £18 million right back?
Well, exactly. Yeah, we should be over the moon that we've got an academy player at right back rather than, you know, someone who's actually good at football. That's my take, isn't it?
Yeah. I do actually agree with this comment, Jess. I do think Dele Bashir has been rubbish for a little while, actually.
Yeah.
There has been spells where I think he has been all right, but overall, yeah, I've not been really impressed with him lately. Ian said those half chances were going in the net earlier in the season. That's where a lot of our points came from.
They were. I mean,
Yeah,
Bayern had 10 goals
yeah,
first
he
up
did.
the season.
Yeah. Jess said, notice that Colby didn't get a second yellow for the goal celebration. Yeah. Here we go. What we've got here, Rio and Gakia needs to start the remaining 2 games. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Do you know what? I'm actually going to briefly mention this because, you know, it's one thing me and my friend were chatting about when we came out, is that it really annoyed me that he changed 3 out of the back 4 at the weekend. I think, you know, as we said, half the problems that we what am I trying to say? Half the problems that are caused by us is by our own changing of the team so regular. If you've got a team, I don't think the back line did too badly at the weekend. I thought Ngakia was great. I thought Wiley was definitely better on Friday than he was on Monday.
Oh yeah,
I thought he went missing a little bit too much on Monday. But Pollock and Abankwah were both great at the weekend. Why do you change 3 out of the back 4?
Look, you can counter it with, well, one, Caben needs minutes. He's got a big future with us, and yeah, I definitely would have played Caben no matter what. But Sierralta, I don't really see the need to play him. But I guess at this stage, Tom, he is just sort of, feeling out the squad a little bit, seeing who maybe we can make use of next season, and just giving everyone minutes, because you forget that these guys, they all work hard behind the scenes. Maybe Sierralta, he wouldn't start an important game, but maybe he deserves some minutes. So yeah, it's about keeping the squad happy. And again, I wouldn't have played Andrews, but maybe Tom just wanted to give him a chance. I don't think team selection is something that we should be looking too deeply into at this stage where we've got nothing to play for. But yeah, look, there's no denying that was the root of our problems. Really, we didn't look comfortable at all defending our own box with those guys in there. And I mean, the red card came from a complete mix-up between Sierralta and Caben, and they were both equally at fault. But it just shows, 2 players that I don't think they'd played together before that, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, that's not based on any research, but off the top of my head, I don't think they've played together. So yeah, look, you can see the flaws, but you've got to factor in that we have been much better defensively second half of the season, and it's mainly been Pollock and Abankwah, but for a bit it was Abankwah and Caben, and Sierralta has come in and done all right. So yeah, you can see the thinking, kind of.
I was actually really impressed with Caben at the weekend. I know he got sent off. I don't believe it's a red card. I do think, from what Tom was saying after, the club have appealed it. We're still obviously waiting on that. It's Thursday tomorrow. So yeah, we'll obviously keep an eye out for that. And I do think Caben will probably be playing at the weekend because I don't think that will stick. Couple of comments here. Be interesting to see what your thoughts here are, Cam, on this. Harry Amass back on loan next season. Obviously, United do want to give him minutes. Obviously, he's been getting into the first team a little bit at United. Do you think he'll go to a lower Premier League side, or do you think they'll probably look to get him at a better Championship side if he does go out on loan?
Well, I think they'll keep hold of him. He's playing fairly well for them at the moment. So, yeah, you can't rely on Luke Shaw to stay fit. So I do think they'll keep hold of him. But if he is available on loan, I'd be all over that. I think we need to say goodbye to Larouci would be nice. And then hopefully it's Wiley and someone else next season. And if that someone else could be Harry Amass, then that would make perfect sense.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be Wiley and Amass, though, because I do think both clubs will want both players to get minutes, and I think they'll be.
And I think they would get minutes. It is a position where you can make a sub at left back quite often, and Wiley he might not be the most consistent. There might be games that are better for someone else. So yeah, we've certainly changed left back a lot this season. I feel like there would be minutes for both, but I would prefer us to go out and get a permanent left back for once that's actually decent at football would be nice.
Yeah, I agree. James is putting, who was Tom referring to post-game when he mentioned about certain players needing consequences? I did wonder this myself.
Yeah, let's talk about Tom's little rampage post-match, because he didn't pull any punches, did he?
No, I wasn't shocked, I'll be honest, because I do think I do wonder if. Do you think things were said in the changing room? Do you think he went in full?
Yeah, I think things were said.
Yeah.
You've got to think about how sort of protective Tom is of the players in his interviews normally. So look, different conversations are normally had behind the scenes to what we actually get to hear. Now, if that's what Tom is saying in public, you can only imagine how much of a bollocking he gave them behind the scenes, because I mean he was relentless, wasn't he? Look, I've just never heard anything like it from Tom, and it's very sort of akin to Chris Wilder and his comments when he was here. There's certainly an element of that to it, and there's also an element of sort of, you get the feeling managers sort of become a little bit more unhinged when they might be on the way out. It's certainly a trend that we've seen over the years. So yeah, it is something. It's concerning to me that he spent the whole season protecting these players, and now he's saying stuff like, oh, Vata came off because he deserved to come off, and these players are shit, basically. And he openly said that us as fans, we aren't harsh enough on these players. It's a really remarkable thing to say, that the fans need to be harder on the players, that we need to demand more of them. And he's totally right about everything he said, I think, but it's just remarkable to see, and it makes you wonder if there's some kind of movement going on behind the scenes, and it does worry me about the future.
Yeah, I'll just pulling a couple up, to be fair. These are screenshots we put in our chat from James, who posted on the Watford Way. Cleverly, our fan base are very respectful. Our media is very says very local. I played for clubs where that is not the case, and as a player, you feel you have to perform and we have to win, or else there will be consequences. He's also said, I don't think there are enough consequences at this club for not doing your jobs. There are players who need to demand more from themselves. He also said on the Vata sub, people can focus on me, mate, taking an attacking player off, but I think you have to take a player who deserves to come off. There was also something from Jeff Doyle that posted saying he was very unhappy. He obviously went in on the referee, saying he made a complete guess, said that the club were going to appeal. He was upset with the players, said that Selvik wasn't in that. He thought he did well. Overall, obviously we've been chatting quite a lot in our chat this week, because I think there was things that were said, weren't they, in February, when things came to a head, when it was we all thought that Tom Cleverley was getting the sack, that the players kind of stuck up, didn't they, for Tom, and it kind of put a pause on everything going on there. Gino shit himself a bit there, didn't he? And reversed that decision to sack him. I think you're right. I think we have to worry for the future. I do think. I personally think that. I don't know why I'm doing it. I'm going out to Blackburn on Saturday.
Yeah, that's mental. That's an illness
for a nothing game of football. Yeah, I don't know what I'm thinking, if I'm being completely honest. However, I do think that'll be the last away game that I see Tom Cleverley in the away dugout. I don't think he will be here beyond the first week after the end of the season. Do you think it will be quite a quick?
I think
he is, or do you think is it going to be a sacking, or is he going to walk? That's the question.
He won't walk. It'll be a sacking. Managers don't walk. They won't get any money for that. But it'll be a sacking. I think we're more likely to see Bio in the dugout than Tom Cleverley next season. It's just really, like, for the record, I will put it out there. I think with or without Tom, we'll get relegated next season. I do think that, and I'm not going to try and put a positive spin on it. But the fact is, based on our last 23 games, that's half a season, we're rock bottom, and that's with Tom. And you can see that with Tom, we're playing fairly well. and we should be winning way more games than we are, if not for the lack of quality that we've got available to us. But the fact is that quality is going to go down even further, and we are going to lose. Chapatadze loser. There's a good chance that Barr could go, and then who knows which other players might go. But what we definitely know is that we aren't going to sign anyone better than what we've got now, and the squad's only going to get older. You might see Dumbia Duomo might be more mature, but at the same time, Sissoko, Ince, Kayembe, all these terrible footballers basically are going to be a year older, and they're still going to be here, and we're going to get relegated with them, and that's just a sad reality that Watford is a pointless club at the moment. There's no point in us supporting this club anymore. We still do, obviously, but there's no point in it. And yeah, we're only going one way. We're going to League One. And, we'd be lucky not to end up like Reading are now with the way that these clowns are managing the finances. So, yeah, it's time to just, we've got to strap in. We've just got to take what's being given to us, really, which is we're going to lose everything good about the club, which is Tom Cleverley. That's the only thing keeping us going at the moment. And, yeah, we're fucked. We're going to League One.
Yeah, I think I personally, I think that the club only signs a good quality of player or better players than what we've got now with Tom Cleverley in charge. I think if Tom Cleverley goes, like you say, he's the only good, he's a great part of this club. It will be absolutely devastating to lose him. I think, the fans, it's safe to say that the fans have really kind of warmed to him. They appreciate him. There's a lot of love there for him. And I think they appreciate the job that he's done with basically nothing. I still can't believe we're still 12th, aren't we? I still
around there.
Yeah, we're still 12th in the league. If someone had said to me that we'd be in the top half of the table with 2 games left, I'd have probably laughed at them and said no chance. Obviously, we all did our predictions at the start of the season, and I think the highest someone predicted us, I don't know if that was me or somebody else, but I think we said 19th was the highest out of it. So, we've bettered that. But yeah, I think, Tom Cleverley has made fans fall in love with Watford again. And I think the fact that so many people stayed behind after the Burnley game, even with 9 men, they appreciated the players' effort that they put in. But that was all down to, as you say, Cleverley, his game plan and the pressure that he, wanted to put on Burnley, whether it be with 8, 9, 10 or 11 players behind the ball. But yeah, I'm dreading the pre-season. Obviously, when all the rumours start, all the stuff comes out, who, players, who's going to be here, who isn't. I do hope that we can keep a couple of the players that we've got, the good players, but I think it's unlikely. I do think it's increasingly likely that we'll go into next season without Bar, Chadvikatsi and Loser. However, I think Jess is right here. I think he won't have any problem walking into another job.
No, they'll be a very lucky championship club. I'll tell you that now.
Can't wait to get a Spanish nobody get sacked in October. I bet certain people. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's probably Rio. You're probably spot on there, mate. I mean, it's still looking like it's going to be. I can't even think of his name. Jose Rojo Martin, wasn't it? The guy that they were wanting to get in.
There was that Pachetta bloke. Is that the same guy?
That's the same bloke. Yeah, Jose Rojo Martin. His nickname is Paqueta or Pachetta.
Yeah.
Yeah, as James has said, Pachetta. Rio's also said, Bank will leave and it'll be a big blow. It will be. I do wonder whether he might come back to us till January, perhaps. I do think it might just be still a little bit early for him to...
Maybe. There's a chance, but he did say his future is going to be at Udinese.
Of course, he signed that long-term contract.
There's every chance we get him for another year on loan. Yeah. I mean, he's still making mistakes quite frequently, but he'd be a fantastic player for us next season.
Yeah. Do you think perhaps Cleverley, because I still don't know whether Valerian Ismail will stay at Blackburn, do you think Cleverley would do a good job at someone like Blackburn?
He'd do a good job, yeah. I mean, he's shown that he can keep a team well out of a relegation battle when they've got no business being outside of one. So
poorly owned as well, though, aren't they?
Yeah, Blackburn, they're in a similar boat to us, really. You know, I'd say their squad's considerably better than ours, but they're in a similar boat with the lack of investment, and yeah, they're probably slightly fortunate not to be in a relegation battle this season. So they do need a miracle worker. Tom Cleverley had certainly fit in with that, but I do think, you know, someone better might take a punt on him.
Yeah. Just quickly, just before we finish, Cam, if I was to say, because we've not pre-planned this, if there were two players out of the Championship that you could sign for Watford next season that we realistically could have a chance of getting, who would you maybe like to sign?
Well, realistically, we're not going to sign another Championship player. That is a very tough question, and I wish I had more time to answer this. I've already mentioned Kiefer Moore. I think would be a good move, so I'm going to go with him. What do we need at the moment? I'd say we desperately need a winger. Yeah, no, they're all out of our range. It's the problem. All of the good ones, I'd say. So looking at who's getting relegated, there's obviously Plymouth have got some good players in there, and actually I'd go with who's that defensive midfielder at Plymouth. Oh, he was great on my FM save once, but he's a proper player, but I've just forgotten his name. Help me out here, Joe. Name Plymouth players.
Oh, actually, to be fair, I've said the Championship, but Jess has put a comment here. Cipriano, I would love to see him come in.
Defensive midfielder, not a striker, but yeah, he'd be a fantastic.
Is it Sissoko from Plymouth?
No, not him, but he went to Hull, I think, didn't he?
Oh, did he?
Okay, yeah. I'm looking at their squad. There's a few from Plymouth I'd take. One being Ryan Hardy, just good goal scorer, proper striker. So I'd definitely take him. But the player that I was thinking of was Adam Randall. I think he's a really, really good midfielder, reads the game quite well. So yeah, I'd definitely be all over a move for him. But obviously, I don't see us signing anyone who isn't either over 30 or from the Belgian league.
Yeah, this is a name that I'm on board with.
Yeah, me too.
I would love to see Ryan Hardy at Watford. He's not a Pozo signing, but I would be all over that signing. If he signed, I'd be very excited.
Yeah, but it won't happen. We won't sign anyone good.
No.
I just want to point out as well, there was a tweet from Tom Bodell earlier from the Watford Buzz, sort of dissecting the squad and, you know, what we thought of each player at the start of the season. And it just shows really what Tom Cleverley's turned this team into. Because I looked at that and I sort of expanded on that there are only two players here really that have proven themselves at Championship level before. One of them is Tom Ince, who, as we know, just is a pensioner now. He shouldn't be playing for us. And the other is Sear Outer, who he's not been fancied by any of our last however many managers because he's just not quick enough. So they're the only two Championship players we've got, really. And then I sort of rattled off a list of players who are currently having their best ever seasons in their career, really. Being Pollock, Barr, Loser, Kayembe, Bayo, Ngakia, Larouci, Morris, Chapatadze, Abankwa. None of these players were really thought of too highly before this. I mean, you know, Loser, we've known he's got talent, but he was a bad egg and we thought he was gone. But Tom Cleverley has got the best. What did I just list? 10 players there? Tom Cleverley's got the best out of all of them. And I mean, I don't like Bayo and Kayembe, but they've chipped in with 18 goals between them, and they simply wouldn't get close to that under any other manager. So it's a huge credit to Tom Cleverley. And then you factor in he's got, Vata, Dumbia, Duomo, Caben, they're all getting used to men's football. So yeah, you've really got to factor in these things, that his hands are completely tied, and yeah, he's just getting the best out of every player at his disposal at the moment. It'd just be stupid to get rid of him for anyone else. I mean, we'd have gone down this season without Tom Cleverley. I'm absolutely sure of that.
Yeah, 100%. And just quickly, just before we wrap up, Porteous, hope he doesn't come back. Oh yeah, I can't see Porteous playing for Watford again. I think he will leave. I do think Sirialta's another one that will leave as well. So a centre back with the bank we're leaving as well. If he doesn't come back, then yes, a couple of centre backs are definitely going to be on the list over the summer.
Yeah, I don't think you can rule anything out, though. I mean, we are tight for money. We've got Porteous, a player who's played a lot of Championship football. If we can get him, as a backup player, they might sort of cut the corner there and go, okay, well, we don't need to spend money on a centre back. So I certainly wouldn't rule it out. And it's also a case of, are Preston or anyone else going to pay the money for him? I mean, they might, but I certainly wouldn't guarantee anything.
I think he'll probably end up going back to Scotland, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, there's a chance, but then would any of them pay the money for him as well?
I think Rangers were sniffing, weren't they? I mean, it
They
depends
were,
who's going to be in there and what sort. Yeah, that could be an option for him. And just lastly, Ian, I do think we've said this a few times, and we can. I still think he's going to go to Wrexham.
What, Backman?
Yeah, 100%.
I think he's got Udinese written all over him, to be honest.
No, well, they've already got a corner.
I think he'll go there and be backup, because he'd probably prefer to be backup at a Serie A team than a Championship team. I don't think anyone at the top level is going to pay for him. And then, I don't see him going to another Championship club.
Ajax for 20 million euros.
That would have been nice, wouldn't it?
Amazing if that was actually true and we turned that down.
Yeah, I don't think we ever turned anything down. I think they were just interested, and that was our valuation at the time.
Just a quick score prediction for the weekend.
Well, it's two dog shit teams. Blackburn put a few wins together, haven't they?
Three in a row, as mentioned by Rio just a short while ago.
Oh, there we go. We are terrible, but we don't have Sissoko playing against us. I'm going to go with a 0-0.
0-0.
Yeah, I do think we'll get a result, and I think it will be a spectacular game for you going all the way up there, Joe.
I'll be distraught if there's no goals. I just want to celebrate a meaningful goal in the away end before.
Well, that would be nice, but we don't get nice things.
Obviously, I wasn't lucky enough to go to Derby, but the away form has been dire.
Was that the last win?
I think that was
Middlesbrough.
No, that was our last away win, wasn't it? We did beat Borough, didn't we? Sorry.
Yeah, Derby was before Middlesbrough, and then I think since then we haven't won away, have we?
That was the 15th of February, because it was my youngest daughter's birthday. So
right.
We haven't won away for just over 2 months. So yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, and no better way to start than against our old mate Valerian Ismail, who, by the way, has done a phenomenal job in Luton terms, because he's gone and lost to all of their rivals, and then he went and beat Luton. So I think he's just there, because he loves Watford so much.
Yeah. It's certainly going to be an interesting game at the weekend. I would love this, Ian. It would be great. And it would be great if it was Bayo in the 94th minute, because we'll all be on the pitch.
I'd rather we lose.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, thanks ever so much, everyone, this evening for tuning in. It's been great seeing all your comments and thank you all for getting involved. We will be back on either Sunday evening if I'm back in time. I'm not sure I will be. If not, that'll be Monday, where I'll do a review of the Blackburn game. And then we may do a little something leading into our final home game of the season. But yeah, we're definitely doing 2 reviews between now and the end of the season. But yeah, thanks ever so much, everyone, for tuning in, and enjoy the rest of your week. And we'll see you all on Sunday or Monday. Come on, you Orns.